We are live, baby. Ready to roll. There it is. What a moody Monday. What's up, June? In the house. Midwest in the house. Look at you guys. Is Amit done already? Is that the thing? I already got requests. Look at this. Tesla chart, please. Man. Tell me something good. I'll tell you something good. I mean, it's a tough one today. Tough is like, okay, how many people thought that it was just going to be an absolute bloodbath this morning? I need a like that was me actually. I'm like, look at this free market, did all the stuff. What was the one day like first day reaction on the debt downgrade? And I think it was anywhere between like 1.5. So we've had 2 prior, by the way. And if you don't know, yes, that's what we're going to talk about today. It was like 1.5% down on the last one. That was the Fitch downgrade. And then in 2011, we had a Standard & Poor's downgrade, which was like a 2.5 or something. Don't quote me on these percent move. And I was like, well, we'll see. Both of them, by the way, end up being longer term buying opportunities. But in the short term, you can try to run all the stats you want, but without going to the charts themselves, it doesn't really like come out very accurate. But what I can tell you is that the average move to the downside, so the 2011 Standard & Poor's downgrade was a 20% move to the downside quickly, like within about a month and a half. And then it goes sideways for another month, and then it ripped to the upside. And then 2023 was kind of just like a stutter step, like 10% downside. We were already in a recovery, very much like what we are now. But again, it was over the course of like 2 months. So not all in one shot. What I can say though is that none of them looked like this on day one. And the market, I'll just tell you what, the market seems to not give an F about what's going on. This is insane, right? And to Nick's point, yeah, I think, too many institutions are under allocated for sure. And, if you sold Sunday night or Friday night, then the first intuition is to, okay, well, let's see what happens on Monday, see if it shakes out. And then maybe you're back in on Monday if the market doesn't care. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now, albeit we're not making new highs just yet. Without going too deep into the charts, I'll just say over 600. Okay, this is just not a thing. The market really doesn't care. But let's get into it. By the way, happy Monday, guys. The Jasonness. Emp is out. He's got another space happening right now, so he's not going to be joining. Analyzer in the house. This guy is like all over the server. I love that. Patrick, I don't know. Are you in the server? Patrick's got to be in the server. I just don't know who Patrick is in the server. I have no idea. Top Dasher. Yeah. It's supposed to be a bloodbath. I'm looking at some internals. I don't have that slide ready, but I think we can look at internals today. They're not matching up with price action at the moment. So I will say that the internals are very weak. And they're saying that something under the hood is not matching. But I'll tell you, this price action is crazy at the moment. So I will hedge. I have hedged. I've sold some like cheap in the money call credit spreads just in case. And the only thing I saw this morning coming out on SPY was like July monthly 570 puts, which makes a lot of sense to me. So we'll see. I grabbed a couple of those, but if it's hedge, if it goes to zero, it goes to zero, and it's all good. But just insane, just insane. But yeah, I think we all expected a bloodbath for sure. Paul, please be positive. That's pretty positive, man. That is pretty positive. Didn't sell it a whole lot. Just kind of more, moving some stops up on existing positions. Options though, yeah, I think if you're near dated options, I think take the moment to reset, and we'll see. We shall see. I just say this is not breaking down just yet. This is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But anyways, let's get into it. What we do here every Monday, if you're new to the show, welcome. But what we do every Monday is we kind of just go through what happened last week. What do we have to look forward to? Is there anything on the horizon? There's a lot of stuff about let me see this. I didn't actually get completely done, but there's a lot of stuff about, oh, this is really small. Let me just move this. Consumer sentiment. This is before the Moody's headlines. Consumer sentiment hit second lowest on record. I saw a lot of tweets go out there, but like, oh, they don't survey a whole lot of people. This is true. Powell's commentary on the last speech he gave last week, and this is kind of interesting, right? So inflation might become more volatile in the future due to more frequent supply shocks. So if you're in the camp of like Powell needs to cut, yeah, that's the crazy one. Powell doesn't, I don't think he has to cut based on what the numbers say right now. He'd have to be looking forward, and I don't know that he's really that forward looking at the moment. But this is kind of like his out, right? Like the tariffs things it's an out, right? Peter saying Moody's was political, hoping to get JP yeah, I mean, I it's a hard one. If the bond market continues to do what it's doing, and today at the moment it's actually starting to reverse a little bit, but it's more like if the 10-year hits 5%, that would be crazy. And we're probably going to have like something break. We're very high right now, 4.5, I think it was. Let me see, TNX. Excuse me, TNX. Yeah, it was 4.56. That's the highest I've seen it in a long time. TNX is the 10-year bond. You can look at that on a chart itself. That's the yield, sorry, not the bond. More recently it was like 4.8. That's when shenanigans started going down. So we're still below that, to be fair. Yeah, 5% on that one. I don't know how the market would really react to that, because the whole downgrade thing, and that's the other thing. It's not like it's new news, right? Like, it's not new news because we knew that this was the issue. This is the whole reason why Trump is doing the tariff stuff. So I think that whole premise might be something else keeping a bid under the market, at least for now. And if the statistics hold, if the statistics are right, then even if we do pull back, what I'll say is that based on today's price action, the pullback is not going to be 10%. It's not going to be anything like, it might just be a blip in the radar. No, I haven't seen Jamie's speaking live right now, I believe. So if you guys see his comments, just drop them in the chat and I'll pull it up. But yeah, okay, he will wait for recession till, yeah, he will wait for, why would he not wait, right? Like, he has an out. He has a total out, right? And I think Trump holds the cards, and the market right now is like, dude, the market's running on Trump headlines. So, I mean, I don't know that the market really cares. Well, clearly today, the market doesn't care about this downgrade. And it really does care about, about what Trump has to say. What is this? Sipping, waving my red flag. Oh my God. Yeah, this one's interesting. So like, this is what I mean. Like, the market's almost more interested in what's going on with Trump and the tariffs, and anything positive on the tariff front. That's the thing. Anything positive on the tariff front has been moving the market higher. So, I mean, that whole storyline is still like firmly intact. You get positive news on the tariffs, it could offset a lot of this. The only thing I didn't write here is Treasury stocks slide, retreat from U.S. assets. Yeah, U.S. debt. Well, that's what we're talking about. U.S. debt stripped of the AAA rating after Moody's downgrade, and that is really the headline of today. Jasper, what if Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, etc. start buying bonds? I mean, at the moment, intraday, somebody's buying bonds, um, which is the crazy thing. And so, like, I mean, what if everybody starts buying bonds? That's the question. If they start buying bonds, then the yields come down and it's all good. Analyzer. Yeah, no, I don't know. I do not know. Uh, it's a little crazy, man, because like I said, if you're fun, like if you look at the stats, this should be it should be red. But what we're talking about right now is like, well, why? Maybe this is a nothing burger after all, uh because the market's already well aware of the credit situation and why we're doing what we're doing, right? The UK is buying. I think I saw there. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did see this. So Ella is accurate. So UK is buying. So people are buying. Something's coming back. Stop, stop selling ACHR. We can take a look at that. So far I have Tesla and Ace and Archer. You guys are gonna have to like send them again towards the end. But let's just take a look at this. Oddly enough, right? We are, where did it go? We are here. So May is kind of, there's this is seasonality over 100-year average. Sell in May and go away is the story. But, the sell in May thing is more of like a very long-term average. Actually, in the last 20 years, the average has been pretty good for May. So May, the month of May is kind of like hit or miss. I don't have Edgeful here, so that would be cool data to have. But over the last 20 years, actually May has been pretty decent. It's kind of June that gets a little bit of pullback sometimes and then rip in July. In terms of the 4-year presidential cycle, this is year one. We are actually here. There's a little blip in the radar. Maybe I can pull this up and see if I can grab it. Yeah. So this is June. This is May. So in the terms of the 4-year presidential cycle, it makes sense to kind of go sideways. And we're really going to want to see this new press to all-time highs. That kind of typically peaks out usually end of July. So that's from a typical seasonality perspective. And the end of July, you get kind of wacky. And then you get that pullback into September. But we are actually not there yet. So we'll see. I still have this wall of worry thing up here. And I think this is the, I can look at this. What's the fear? What are we at? The fear and greed index today. Just going to pull this up. We're at a 70. So a 70 on the fear and greed index. Not quite extreme greed. I tell you what, this is going to be like 75 plus. If we do see 600s, I don't see how it's not. But yeah, this is crazy. I mean, really, really thought that it would be very rough this morning. Thankfully, it's not. So that's good. And I was looking at this and I was thinking about going on tomorrow, and my buddy's going to ask me, did the technicals tell me this was going to happen? I'm like, no, actually, there was no technical sign. Some people say it was like at resistance, but I will say that it looked like it was blowing through resistance. So the trend coming into Friday was pretty epically strong. And I mean, just the strength in general is just a testament to like, holy crap, this is still happening. This is still very much happening. It's so I usually do like second half of July. June can be kind of choppy. It's always June gloom. That's what I hear. I mean, yeah, we have to go with the charts, really. I like for sure June can kind of be choppy, but there's this first July 4th. It's very weird. If we go into seasonals, the weekend of July 4th, as you approach that, it gets really toppy. Like you can like stuff starts to squeeze sometimes. So that's usually if I'm gonna, trade the calendar when I start to pair off some stuff, typically. and then I'll buy in like, late September, October. And it is Patrick, no offense, I don't think she took it. Yeah, it's so in terms of the internals, when we look at the market internals, or really like looking at market internals is kind of like checking your oil on your car, checking your pressure, things like that. Is it really healthy? At the moment, it's saying to chill for a little bit. It's saying don't chase is what the internals are saying. It's saying like there is a check engine light on, um, but yet there's nothing, like I don't hear any sounds. We're still able to go full throttle. That's what's happening in terms of the internals right now. So maybe the check engine light was false and we continue on, and maybe it ends up working out, but and we do need to kind of go back into the garage for some maintenance. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's a good spot in general, though, for maybe some rotational things. I did last week. What I will say is that I actually opened some kind of safety trades, like J&J was a good spot. Lilly was at a decent spot. ABBV was at a good spot. Kind of like that Apple entry that we had looked at a couple weeks back, where it's like, okay, Apple had come back down, retested that trade war zone that I would really like for a dip across the board. A lot of the biotechs were starting to do that. So we should look at that today. Those are still going. No pullback happened at all. And those just continued on. Unlike some of these mega caps where there was an overnight pullback, which are now being kind of like clawed back. I think safety would be a decent kind of rotation if you're looking at that. Next thing you hear is boom, right? My check-in, so Paul is perfect, right? So that's what I'm saying. So internals are kind of touch and go. They're just used as like potential like warning lights. Your check engine light could be on for years and no issues to report. That's kind of like, oversold, overbought, right? Like it's good to know. But sometimes it doesn't really matter and things just continue, right? Live, I don't know, is it live on edge or live on edge? I don't know. But yes, I did buy some UNH. Of course, I bought some UNH. Who did not buy some UNH? 250. I mean, you take a stab at it. I kind of, honestly, I kind of feel guilty about that. I don't know what to say there. But yeah, I think you take that opportunity and we'll see. Yeah, I believe I have to look at the COT report. So there's something called a COT report, or COT, commitment of traders, that actually tells you whether or not the market makers are underweight or overweight. I wish I had that report, and I do not offhand. One day I'll actually get it. Oops. Pull this over. One day I'll actually grab it. But I do not at the moment. So let's just move on for right now. Oh yeah, you saw that? Savage saw that. Are you in? Savage in? Yeah, we are starting the mastermind. Sorry, I just, we can go over it in a little bit. Here, what I'll do is I will drop this here. But we started mastermind. So this is going to be the last live mastermind. Here, I'll drop it with the discount right now. I'll drop it in the chat with a discount if you want to grab it. So we're almost full. Actually, we're going to cap it off soon. We start on Friday. It's like a full-blown college course on technical analysis, options, just the market in general. It is everything you need to know to be a successful trader, period, hands down, and nothing that you don't know, right? A lot of you guys are in. I love this. I'll get to live on edges in a second. But yeah, the mastermind is, I'll go over the schedule when we get towards the end of this, but it is not a single class. It's not anything like that. It's like, it is all recorded. I will say it's a huge production. It's a ton of stuff. But it's literally like 12 full-blown master class sessions, back to back to back to back. Each, it's like 30 hours or whatever of training. That's all recorded and stuff for you guys, but it's actual direction, like everything that you kind of know, but then you put it into a full-blown system and you're like, holy crap. It's like changes everything. But anyway, so this week on the calendar, sorry, a ton of Fed speeches. I don't know I do know what's going on, but this is post FOMC. 5 Fed speeches today, 7 Fed speeches tomorrow. We also get something called the Red Book. If you don't know what the Red Book is, it's like retail sales. We have something called the Beige Book, which is all the Fed presidents kind of rolling up their quarterly business reviews. Red Book is about retail sales. I think it's actually going to be important. The market does not move on the Red Book, but you might hear a lot of people talking about it after the fact. Oil status report on Wednesday. And I think this is wild, but not a lot of stuff on deck. The 20-year bond auction, believe it or not, is probably the biggest thing that I have on my bingo card. And I'm like, okay, that is kind of insane. 20-year bond auction on Wednesdays, Thursday, jobless claims and existing home sales, and then Friday, new home sales and building permits. You know what I will do? Let's do this. Go ahead. I'm going to drop this post. Blockchain. Yeah, that's what Jamie said this morning. Doesn't matter. We were looking. Yeah. So check this post out. I'm going to pop it up really quick. What this is LuxAlgo. They do a catalyst watch every month or every Sunday. So this is a little bit better than your typical economic calendar because it's going to give us a lot of stuff. Oh, look, they've just moved to a GIF. This is oh man, day by day catalyst watch. Anyways, so here we go. So Coinbase, I guess today is officially the first day that Coinbase does join the S&P 500. Is this the 19th? There it is. So we should possibly look at that Coinbase chart today because they should have gotten their inflows today. Shopify joins the NASDAQ 100. Ooh, I did not have that on the bingo card, but there you go. That's a nice little rotation for them. Canada markets are on holiday today. Happy holiday, Canada. Eurozone CPI. And then here's the speeches coming in 1, 2, 3. We have more. 6-month treasury. We have this CB. So Chicago board, like leading index. This thing has been funny because this leading index has actually been flashing red for like, I don't know, feels like a decade. I kind of just call it the misleading index now. I really don't look at it because it does nothing. China loan rate today. Before market, top earnings, ZIM. Does anybody trade this anymore? Oh my, on a flea market in Beijing. Yeah, those are good red books, though. You want those. Aftermarket, I don't even know who this is, TCOM. So earnings season is still here. It's just very low. Tomorrow, Australia interest rate decision, probably not going to be. Canada CPI, 1, 2, 3, 4 main speakers here. I actually have more on the calendar. Home Depot, interesting. Palo Alto Networks, also interesting. Happy I know. Dude, what's up with Canada's hockey teams? Can we just you guys, do I have any Canadians in here? What's up with Toronto? I did. And by the way, if you're in the server and you're like trying to deal with these headlines, the cool thing is about our server is that we do sports bets. So when the market does funky shenanigans, we always make up for it on the sports betting side. So that was good. The one bad one, man, I had we were going for the Jets. I was rooting for our boy Shifley. That would have been a nice win for him, but did not make it. Although we did flip, and we went Florida for the win, which was a huge comeback. And of course, guys, Paul knows, right? We got Florida for the win. That one took it out. We took it home, baby. And we had OKC for basketball. I mean, how do you not have OKC? I know there was a lot of money on the Nuggies, but OKC all the way, baby. I'm sorry, okay? Florida, they pulled it out. That was a blowout, man. I'm off track. Sorry. I'm looking at this market and I'm just like, this is crazy. The market does not care about this downgrade today so far. We'll see. So Wednesday, again, this is a very like minimal calendar. UK CPI inflation, energy. So this is crude inventories, 2 speeches, and this is the 120-year Treasury auction. I think this is going to be important. So about the bonds, the long bond, we call the long bond. I think this is. Did anybody see the article? This yeah, we gotta yeah, dude, he's in the house. He's in the house. We're cleaning up on our sports bets, no joke. But this guy is all over it for sure. Him and Paul have been cleaning house in the server for sure. I'm not. You know what it is? We have a quant. I have a sports capper. He's a sharp. They call him a sharp. I'm not. A sharp is someone that spends their all waking hours of the day studying the statistics on every sports bet outcome, whether just like I do on the market, man. I shit you not. This is real stuff. But yeah, I mean, dude is on point. So no, it's not me. But when I see a good bet, I know a good bet when I see him. But back to the Treasury auction, I think this is going to be interesting, right? So like it's very much about the bond market right now. And so if there's not a lot of interest in the Treasury auction, well, that's going to be, I think that could be the one thing that does kind of like put like a cap on this rally. I think best case scenario is like we just kind of stall out here around the 600s on SPY and just give the market a little bit to breathe. We've run, guys, I'll tell you this market has run so far, so fast. We have not seen moves like this since COVID, since the sick. This is COVID level recovery. Yeah, it's intense. It's insane. My iron condor is thinking that we would at least at some point get some breathing room. Completely toasted, right? That thing is gone. So, but today I did kind of put them back on just in case, right? So I'm like, this has been this move out of the dump has just been absolutely insane. And it's all been predicated on ifs, maybes, what might be. So that makes sense, right? Like we have not seen anything. Yes, I'm watching United Healthcare. This thing is coming out of the doldrums also. But to my point here, I think that Wednesday is probably the only one main thing to look for. And it's not the normal thing that you would look at. This is a 20-year auction. I think it could be like the only thing that might move a market really this week, other than earnings, because we do still have earnings, which come in again on Wednesday. By the way, do we have anybody here that was in the earnings webinar last week? If you didn't, you missed out. That thing, hopefully you guys got something good out of it. That was a good one. We did 2 trades on that, neutral trades, Cisco and Walmart, both bangers. I think as we get towards the back half of earnings season, things start to slow down a little bit. Snowflake is probably the one that a lot of people are going to be watching in terms of, the software sector. This is usually the big kind of like software company that actually leads that move. IGV is the index that it lives in. So IGV is the software sector ETF. Target also interesting. Baidu, BABA came down a little bit. We can look at that, but now is back up. But more or less, we're no, it's not back up yet. More or less, we're kind of looking mostly neutral on a lot of these earnings moves. I think a lot of stuff, any commentary on, not being able to forecast well is just really taken with a grain of salt for the market. Everybody's kind of getting a pass right now. We're not seeing a lot of major moves. And when we do see a lot of major moves, a lot of those are getting taken back as well. So either bought back up, i.e. upstart, huge dump, instantly back up, or maybe like I think it was Meta down, that gets bought right back up. Zoom, I don't know about Zoom. I don't think she's going anywhere. Thursday. Oh, look at this. So I did not have this. Do we have any Palantirians in the house? I'm positive we have Palantirians in the house for sure. Oh, Chris was in there. Nice. Yeah. So those are good trades right now. I think a lot of neutral stuff, if you're able to do that, very good. Why is NVIDIA up today? I think this is the biggest thing. NVIDIA does have earnings next week, so that should hold a bit underneath it. Palantir CEO Karp. So Alex Karp speaks on Thursday. Did we know that? Uber bullish on Palantir. Yeah. I don't know if Amit told you guys that, but there it is. At the Economic Club of Chicago. Maybe a big thing, maybe not. Always an interesting thing. He is one of those CEOs that's just like you kind of want to watch whenever he speaks. Thursday, we do have jobless claims every Thursday. We have some PMI stats from the S&P as well. Again, I don't think that's really going to move the market. There's a lot of data on the existing home sales and building permits, stuff like that that's been coming out lately. And, Home Depot has earnings coming. I think this area is interesting. Rates are high, of course, still very high. If you're trying to buy a home out there, it's a little rough. But I've heard a lot of commentary lately about it being mostly pull forward from COVID when everybody knew the rates were going to be extremely low. So that's, I think, could be interesting here to see if that helps out the home builders as a whole. 10-year tips auction at 12 Eastern Thursday. And then TD, that's not TTD. Autodesk, yeah, so now we get the software sectors. Autodesk, Intuit, Workday. These are big software names right here. That's Thursday. These are not the ones that you want to use the earnings system. These are actually very big movers. So that could be interesting for sure. Friday, last day of the week, building permits, more Fed speak, and U.S. home sales. And that is it. So futures positioning 330. I think this is the COT report. We'll have to see. How do I get the COT report? I can just search for this. Commitment to traders. It's not coming. Anyways, I won't bother you with that right now. This market though, this is crazy. Everybody's holding. Net, this is the calendar. So again, Home Depot, pretty interesting. Target down in the dumps. Let me see. I've been shopping at some Targets lately. I can't say that I enjoy the experience, but with the new kiddo, we do frequent Target quite a bit. This is one slow mover right now. Yeah, I don't know about Target, man. Whenever I go, it's like it's hit and miss. Sometimes there's cool stuff, sometimes there's not. Honestly, it's like going to Toys R Us for us now. It's like mostly for the boy. They have some cool toys for the kids, but I don't know. It's kind of like all I buy there. Am I bullish Home Depot? I missed my entry on Home Depot. I think they've bottomed. I would still say I think the market has bottomed. So what we should be looking for and what we've been talking about for weeks now is that where does that kind of like buyable dip come in? And so we will get to that when we get to the charts today, but we do have a couple more things to get through. TJX, I think this is at the highs. Wix is interesting if you know what Wix is. Analog devices. Deckers. I know some people are wanting Deckers to go back to the highs, but mostly Home Depot and Palo Alto Networks after the close. Those are your two big ones to me. Home Depot, Palo Alto Networks. Zoom is not going to be big anymore. It's some XPeng. And that's it, right? 8x8. I mean, it's not even still a company. Sorry. Snowflake, right? So Home Depot, Palo Alto, Snowflake. Those are the big ones that people are going to be looking at. So with that, I think, we can get to one more section. My target is more hood. Yeah. I mean, dude, crypto did not receive a debt downgrade today for sure. Right. And that's doing just fine, as it should be to me. And hoodie, wow. Hoodie, wow, just wow, wow, wow. I was expecting an absolute bloodbath on my hoodie. Nope. Right back to the highs. Absolutely right back to the highs. Menards has I don't know what that is. Is that a store? They have the cool stuff. Cleo. We should check in with Cleo. It is probably time for your favorite part of the show here. We check in with the T and TA, and that does stand for tarot. All right, guys, this is it. The moment that you've been waiting for. Here we go. Miss Cleo has sent her reading in for the week. If you don't know, this is comedic relief, but oddly enough, she crushes it week after week. I do not know how. Community saved by crypto. Very possible. Very possible. And June is in. It is time, boys and girls. It is time, right? So, anyways, this is how this works. So we get 6 cards. One is called the theme card. That's the top card up here. That's the hangman. And then we get a card for every day of the week. And then she'll tell us what these cards mean. I can kind of speculate. I see one right now that I'm not really into. That looks like a Thursday card. But the weekly theme is hang. Actually, I think this was last week. Last week was a ripper. But there you go. So lock in, boys and girls, lock in. Monday, today, Page of Pentacles. So there's a lot of gold here. That fits. Gold is a ripper, by the way. Tomorrow, King of Swords. So there's not a lot of numbers. So Page, King, and a Page of Cups. So King of Swords, kind of bluey, maybe silver tones. I don't know. Page of Cups, that looks just kind of like, who knows? This one, this just doesn't look like a good card. This looks like you're locked out in the cold and you're, at risk of hypothermia. This is 5 of Pentacles. That does not look good. I don't know what that means, but we'll see. Sometimes these look bad and they're good. Who knows? Like the Devil card looks bad, but I think it's a good card. And the Page of Wands. All I know is wands are whippy, but it's a page. So I don't know what I really have no idea what to go with on this one. So anyways, let's see. So this is what she says. So the theme card is the Hanged Man. This card is typically signals stagnation or even a bit of retrace. Well, so far we retraced the dump. Instead, last week's version was mostly up only. Yeah. Does this mean it's the bear's turn to take that the bears that take a pause? I don't know. Does this mean it's the bears that take a pause? Bears definitely have been pausing. That's for sure. That would be interesting. And furthermore, does go back to back hangmans do more of the same or reverse? Is this a question? Why is she doing questions? Miss Cleo, if you're out there, you're supposed to know. We're not here for you to ask questions. Goodness. This is a tough one, but I'm more likely to call last week's move an aberration due to OPEX. That means chop is probably the most likely outcome. Well, that's not bad. Honestly, chop is bullish to me. Monday, Page of Pentacles. We closed last week with the page and now draw another one to start the week. I haven't read this yet, but I'm going to be interested to see what she says because she does get this on Sunday. She sends it on Sunday. So we had already gotten the debt downgrade. This one typically continues the prior day. Ooh. Wasn't Friday? Friday was super bullish. Yeah. But in my opinion, page to page brings mean reversion, which is obvious at this point given Sunday's Sunday selling. Well, okay. This card can trend, but rarely finishes more than 1% from open. Also, she did call this on Sunday. That's crazy. However, the market has been taking bigger swings under the Trump administration, so 1%. Okay, now she's back in it. You know what? She just went with her gut. It would be fine. I wouldn't fade this one. All right. Tomorrow, Tuesday. So this is what we care about. We care about tomorrow. King of Swords. Page to king means continuation from Monday. Is she calling higher? I'm shocked. Is from Monday and is likely the outcome here. This card's historical data supports that. I think she's calling higher. I don't know. Therefore, expect some nasty cuts to both sides, but in one direction a move that's likely negative. Okay, so she's not calling higher. She thought that Monday was going to be red, just like everybody else, and then she's thinking that Tuesday would be a continuation. We shall see. But she said negative. She says one directional negative. I think I'm going to go with that. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but who knows? Wednesday, Page of Cups. Now we're moving back to the page, which means new journey plus retrace, therefore high chance of mean reversion. So even if we did, okay, then it would get bought up. This card also brings trend most of the time. So she's calling trend on Wednesday. So plan to trade momentum for most of the day in whatever direction the trend emerges. All right. Emotions of euphoria or panic could run high. Don't let it get to you. Remain logical and pragmatic. Fair enough. Trend day Wednesday per Miss Cleo. Thursday. This was the day that looked bad to me. This card symbolizes illness and suffering. You know, it's Oscars. The chat's a little behind, but it could be. Is it the Bears that are ill and suffering? Or is it the Bulls? I don't know, because these Bears, I'll tell you what, have been ill and suffering for a freaking long time. So we'll see. Oh shoot, where did I go? Yeah. The card symbolizes a bearish day, implies a bearish day. However, we're moving from again with the howevers, man. King page 5, which I think represents a series. What is this series? If the series breaks and the page does not mean revert from the king, then all bets are off and negativity is likely. Huh? Card symbolizes illness and suffering, which you'd assume implies bearish. If the series breaks and the page does not mean revert from the king, then all bets are off and negativity is likely. Oh, she's saying this is the way that doesn't work out. Okay. Otherwise, look for a trend day if Wednesday was a trend day and chop if Wednesday was choppy. So if Wednesday was trendy, then Thursday will be trendy. If Wednesday was choppy, Thursday will be choppy. Okay. I can get with that. Just Miss Cleo, man. It is up for interpretation. Boys and girl. We're all already deciding what to do with our positions here. I think we're mean reverting here for Friday, but we don't have a lot of data for this card. It usually chops around anyways. Therefore, best I can offer is a rapid price swings typical of Wands cards and small shift in energy after lunch. Yeah, she's not really interested in Friday. So recap is like crypto, we risk some negativity. We've got that mostly in the form of like gap downs, but we have a series in both directions with decent chance of a few trend days, which would mean like sideways. And I guess that goes kind of with, sideways goes with the theme card of the Hangman. So there you have it, boys and girls. I mean, what a wild ride. Insane. Miss Cleo, is the wordsmith of all wordsmiths. I mean, it's awesome, but you never really know. Negative. Yeah, Oscar think negative for the Bears. We didn't know. She's got a couple trend cards on there, little up, little down. Yeah, but it's Thursday. She's calling for a Thursday. I don't know what happens Thursday. Was there something on the calendar? Thursday, jobless claims. Thursday's calendar is jobless claims. Is there anybody on here? Thursday morning, or it could be Wednesday afternoon. Oh, I don't see anything that's really gonna move a whole lot in terms of that. All right, so go ahead and start your dropping your chart request. I did say I would take a look at the calendar. So this is by the way, this is the mastermind schedule. We start on Friday. So if you're not in, this is it. I'll drop the link one more time. That's it. So this is it. This is going to be the last. We're going to change the structure of the masterminds moving forward. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 master classes. This is essentially what you're going to get. We always start off with psychology. This is like if you're having a hard time, managing your trades or sizing appropriately, things like that, or just trying to figure out what you're even good at, or what your stats are. All of that comes out in this first session on Friday. And then we get pretty much right into the meat of tactical analysis. First of all, like simplifying everything. That's what that is. Then we give you very systematic approaches to day trade. We teach you about options. We systematically approach swing trading, understand like this is more technical analysis, how to really leverage options appropriately, in terms of like knowing what a good bet looks like, how it should affect my profit or loss. We do a little premium selling. We do a 0DT masterclass. And then we have my favorite part of the crew. Like we have someone come in and does a tape reading class, and we actually trade live with you guys as well. So this SPX masterclass, this is going to be a live trading session where pretty much make up all your money, right? But that is it in a nutshell. This is, again, each one of these sessions is about 2 to 3 hours, give or take. This is like everything that you absolutely would ever need. So again, it's there for you guys. Take a look if you can. If not, you can always DM me. But this is going to be like the last live session that we're going to do. All right. So first look here, we're going to do SPY. So this is my initial look. We are literally sitting on Friday's highs. That is it right there, right back. Market does not care whatsoever. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a look at the weekly. What is this? So just a weekly count, right? So what I said 600, that was last week's high. Unless we're like today, we would have to really just kind of print like what we call like a bottom doji on the what's the word I'm looking for, on the calendar. So if this gets filled in and we start going higher tomorrow, this whole candle is really going to look pretty bullish. The candle structure would look like one giant wick on the downside is what that would end up looking like. And this would probably go kind of towards the highs right in here. So that's what the weekly setup looks like so far. If this is the high, then that's just going to end up being a big top down here. And that's a hanging man candle. A hanging man candle actually looks more like this. And so maybe that's what Miss Cleo is calling for. But that's a hanging man candle right there. We'll see what this forms like later in the week. But again, today, this is flashing red-green. So we're trying to go green on the day, literally as we speak. This is crazy. What I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to go back over to a 30-minute count. And I'm going to grab some stats real quick. So this is here to here. Holy camole. So this box that I just drew, that's actually an average weekly range. So an average weekly range for SPY does take us, it's a 14-week average, 2 all-time highs if we go there. And on the downside, remember last week we had that session gap that's right over here? 565. There's a session gap that's sitting here still. We call it like an inefficiency in the market. It does not have to fill. But if we start to break down, and I would say the breakdown point is actually about 585. So this is 586, this line that I just drew. I'm going to use this. It's BOS for break of structure. This is, again, our average week's range. I don't need that right now. But if we can't get over essentially yesterday's high, and this becomes kind of something that we deal with, even if we do a little bit and we pull back and then come back down, there's nothing bearish about this chart unless we're below 587s, give or take. And in that case, yeah, I can see this gap below here filling, but this is kind of the trajectory that it would have to take. There would be two spots. One would be basically here, even if we breach higher, and then at some point, either tomorrow or later today, come back down, fail below. What we would call this setup here is a look above and fail. So it would have to have a look above and fail at this juncture, but the entry short wouldn't show up until a failure of 594, which is really like yesterday's absolute high. So for right now, we're going into retest it. If you miss this altogether, a second short opportunity would be something like a look below here, pop up, retest that 580. It's 586, and then pull back. You have a couple spots of turbulence here to watch out for. So one, you do have 580, and that's actually going to hit. And I'm pulling back a little bit bigger order block, somewhere around 575 right here. So this 575 area is actually pretty important. If we do have a pullback and we start to retest this, I am interested to see how this area just over 575 acts, if it acts as support. So that would be that first trade. And we're still not really going for this gap until you fail, if you fail 575. It's not in the cards right now. We're not even attempting to get there. So at the moment, you kind of just don't worry about it. What is true, and why it's kind of a touchy spot to really be like a new money long, and it's been like this for a while, is that the area that we're coming into is actually that prior breakdown area. So this is it's not a small level. This is actually a pretty big level that persisted for, how long is this? Just about 3 months, 4 months actually, before, as a huge pivot. So any way you slice it, debt downgrade or no debt downgrade, this area right here, there's been a lot of turbulence. One here that's this is about 600, right? So once, twice, three, a lot of movement. But if you want to continue to stay bullish, this is 595, 595, and 595. If this prior resistance, which it is, breaks through like this, and this ends up acting as support there, that is your upside move. And that's what that would have to look like. So you'd have to see this break through. You can see a pullback. And then if we are holding 595, or essentially last week's high, throughout the rest of the week, it should be, this is pretty clear sailing, because that's going to be a massive break, actually up into 610s. And that's before the debt downgrade. That was what this trajectory was aiming at. So this was looking like we are going to go into that 610 and likely to see all-time highs. But that's the trajectory that would have to show up. So a little riskier entry if you're taking this here now. Better one might be to see it breach, pull back. And at that point, as long as we're holding 595 throughout the week, that prior resistance would be acting as new support, and that would actually be very bullish. Until then, you have two other areas, 575, and that, again, that session gap from last week at 565, where we do have a lot more confluence. This would be a better new money long spot, definitively, like across this whole area. And you have a lot of confluence down here as well. So this area is a better risk reward. We can look at this. This is that trade war zone. Anything in the trade war zone is good, because that I don't think should even really come into play. But if it does, a retest there is very interesting from my perspective. And then again, that 575, I just threw on some simple moving averages. These are daily SMAs, again, locked on the daily time frame. That 575 actually lines up with the 200-day simple moving average right here for a pretty decent spot to start looking for some new longs. What I would say is that anytime we do get into this 200-day simple moving average, it gets very choppy. And I'm going to try and look before. So this is a little bit in history, pulls back, breaches, but it essentially actually comes right back over. I have a lot of lines here. Let me just go ahead and take all the lines off. But you can see as we're coming in, sometimes it looks a little bit like this, right? And we're currently actually up over. This is February 2023. This is current, and then you get up over. It looks like it's all good, smooth sailing, and then you get some random pullback that actually breaches below the 200-day simple again, which ends up being the buy spot. So that would be around your 565 area. That would be where I'd be very interested in, and that would be a clean lower high. In my mind, pretty buyable from a technical perspective, assuming that there's no new Trump developments or anything like that. So it's possible that we do get that, and that would actually keep this downtrend intact. Even if we get a dip like this, I would be very interested in a dip like this in this area. So for me, anything here, I think that's a good spot, risk reward long. We're pretty far away from that at this moment, but also true. We were just there 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, how many people are sitting there saying like, man, I would love, to get entries that we had 2 weeks ago. I don't see how that doesn't get bought up. But in the meantime, this is grinding, and it's tough because it's moving straight into resistance here. If we stall out and go sideways, I think this is still like wait for a little bit, and then we'll see, right? So this is gonna be, I think next week is the last day of the month. What I'll do really quick is I'll just do our NFP levels. So from an NFP's perspective, this is kind of where it gets a little funky, is that we are also holding 588. So interesting enough, anybody on the NFP webinar, very crucial, 588.28. This is my level. We're at whatever point, if we do have a open below, close above 588.28 daily, then okay, that actually becomes our major break of structure, and we could come back in and we test this general area, right? And I already said what I'd like to see, and all of that. Any pullback here is still bullish, right? And I think that's the hard thing for the market, because the market still knows any pullback is technically bullish at the moment. For now, we are kind of chopping our way up into that 600 area, which happens to be February's non-farm payroll highs, which comes in here. So this box at the moment becomes kind of like my area of like, okay, I'm going to call this overhead resistance for now. It doesn't, I wouldn't get swayed at all if we get into 600 and hit our head and then instantly pull back into 588. Again, this is pretty steep from that perspective. This is a Lux indicator. There was price action concepts. So this is a very steep trend to the upside. It is staying within that range, but it's getting a little bit narrower and narrower. 608, very cautionary. But 608 and then holding, if we get something like this where you get to 608 and you're still holding 600s, I mean, this is still very bullish. So yeah, the market's on a tear, man. The market is absolutely on a tear. So far, we're just blowing through these levels. The nearest support area at the moment is this box right in here, 588, which, happens to be exactly what we bounced off of technically this morning, literally right there. So there you have it in all its glory. I'll just take a look at Qs. It's going to be very, very similar. We're right there. I think the upside is 532. for that February area. Take this price action stuff off for just a minute. Any short-term things I don't need. But again, we're retesting those February areas. So we're basically pricing the market back into what we were on in February, right in here. So again, big level of resistance, 522 on the Qs. Actually banged its head once, twice, 3 times over the last week. Wasn't able to quite breach it. This is looking like the 4th attempt. And if it is the 4th attempt and we get an extension higher, I do expect, wow, I would expect 13 points in very short order if we get that. But until then, I kind of have to assume that this is resistance, overhead resistance. So I would not be trading for that just yet until I see like an active move. Because we know that 522 area is huge overhead resistance on QQQ. Right here, it's giant. Downside dips, the weekend session gap 488 on Qs just seems so far away, guys, so far away. And that 200-day simple moving average sitting at 490s, just over 490, 493, right into that over that weekend opening gap. So again, 2 weeks ago, that's a good spot. We're still kind of like struggling our way out of it. It would not be out of the realm, out of the ordinary to see a little retest and a little sideways action before we were able to continue higher. That would be, to me, that would be pretty good, right? If we saw a little something like that, I would be very interested. But until then, look, this market's just going higher at this point. So it's crazy. It's crazy. All right. All right. So I'm going to go back up. I did see some initial requests for Tesla. Meta, geez, is going higher. I'll just do Tesla really quick. Tesla. And then go ahead and drop them. Tesla. So this is how this works. When you're trading, we want to look at pre-market levels here. So this was the pre-market range for Tesla. Actually not quite out of it just yet. This is yesterday's low here that kind of like hit its overhead resistance on. It's a little sketchy just because we do have that possible double top on Tesla right in here. But honestly, this is looking at, I came into the weekend and this is the one that got me. I came in the weekend with some 370 calls on Tesla. This I knew was big time overhead supply, all of this. And I can bring this across all of it. And we do have, I'll just go to the daily. This rebound here, and I'm just going to draw a quick fib. So we know the prevailing downtrend is broken, but from the 400 and change highs down to these lows, looks like about the 50% retracement. Sorry, 618 retracement. So this is that kind of golden pocket for the bears to actually run into some overhead supply. So to see a little bit of a pullback here, again, makes perfect sense to me. I'd like to see 320s hold in general. That is going to be a pretty big spot for Tesla. It's going to match up with this area, this breakdown, and that tip right there. That's 300. 320s is your halfway. So it's right in this golden block. I want to see 320s hold to continue on. Otherwise, a dip on Tessie down to that 300 level is going to line up with that 200-day simple. A lot of these SMAs, any of this is fine still from a longer term perspective, but it would mean that shorter term, any short term, short dated contracts are going to be kind of at risk. This one, from a candlestick perspective, daily candlestick, these 3 candlesticks, that's not a good setup. This actually looks, this is a bearish setup right here, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes people call this, I've been hearing this this 3-bar thing a whole lot. That's what this is. To me, it's not until we really kind of break 333 and really like, okay, so 333, this is 334. This is Thursday's close. I'll call that a real break of structure. And so tomorrow, if we're opening below, let's call it 334, 333. All right. Then in that case, yeah, we are very likely going to do the little pullback at least to 320. And that's it for a weekly move or a couple day move, maybe sideways from there, possibly retrace. But I need to see that 320 hold. Otherwise, if it doesn't, then we will see probably back in the 300s, which at that point, I would again be really interested in picking a little bit of that up. But for now, it's kind of like stay the course. I'm not selling anything here. Except for short dated options. Those are kind of toasted on Tessie. Let me scroll up. Actually, you know what? Go ahead, drop them again. Robotaxi. Oh, Robotaxi event. When is the Robotaxi event? I don't know. Tesla loves its catalysts. Also, Elon is supposed to be coming back. So the chart is good. Let me see. I'm gonna scroll up here. So I know we had Tesla early, and there was another early one. Let's see if I can find it. I can't. Volume Palantir calls. Yeah, I mean that is super wild. I'm having to scroll too far. I see RIVN. See a lot of RIVNs. So we'll take a look at that. Good God. 16. I mean, I like RIVN. That's just me. This one we looked at before. Prevailing downtrend. Broken here. Yeah, I mean, this is a good looking chart. I heard, and I haven't confirmed, but apparently, so RIVN met the metrics that they needed for Volkswagen, and I heard, just hearsay, that means that RIVN or that Volkswagen also has to buy a bunch of stock at a 30% premium to the 30-day average price, which I think was about 17 and change anyways, which would put it, right back into this 18 area. So this is going to be coming in and testing. This 16 and change is a big deal. I know, I'm just staying the course, guys. This is way down there, but I'm probably up like 50% on equity near term. I'm not selling, but this is without a doubt a bit of a, it's broken down here a couple times in the past, right? So this area is a big deal area that's just under 1680. So if you're a RIVN bull, be cautious here. This one can get really squeezy. I don't sell any cover calls on this. This is just one, or I just own it. But here's what I'll say, is that this area can be right where it gets smacked in the face, just under 17, or it's also been known to be an explosion point as well if it just blasts off through it. So we have to be very cautious. This is like a wait and see watch. This clearly looks like it's going to get into that area, or is trying to right now. But if it does blast off through, that's fine. I wouldn't do anything still, maybe like put a little trailing stop, but you would want this to continue to hold that area. Maybe we see something stupid like that. But as long as it's holding, that would be really bullish. But this 16, call it 80, is a big pivot on RIVN here. up to 19s. So either way, I don't want to see its head get smashed in at 19. If it does, I really would love to see it hold that 1680. That would be the ultimate bullish thing for Rivian to do. And at that point, I'm thinking I really have a 10x equity here on my hands if we do see that. But until then, it's still kind of it's worth the shot to me. But they're not super profitable, and it's still like not the greatest market for EVs. All right, so looking through, let me see what's the next one that I'm going to see. Oh, healthcare, June. All right, healthcare actually. So I went long healthcare. I went long ABBV and J&J. Healthcare in general, this purple line is the 200-day simple moving average. Healthcare was providing that same kind of pullback to me that a lot of what I was hoping for in the equities, right? This XLV, I think, is getting held down, probably breached just because of UNH. That's going to be the biggest component here. But again, on a longer term count, and even if I move this to a weekly, this full pullback is a big retest of a major breakout area. And this area, by the way, is like 2 years, right? So XLV, the sector, has been in this area for 2 years. That's just about the volume weighted average price that we're popping off of actually now. So that's 133.40. That breach, I think, again, probably due to a lot of UNH, but the sector as a whole is starting to bounce here. I want to see this make new highs. This kind of like, we'll call it prevailing downtrend. This is still in the trade war zone. Now, I know healthcare had a lot of biotechs and stuff, have a lot of, let's say, like stuff to worry about, but this is now, as of today, kind of breaching through that near-term downtrend. So to see at least to move to the top of this box and possibly hold, that would be very much ideal. But for now, I'm going to look at this as a liquidity sweep of the lows. That might be exactly what healthcare needed to get it out of the doldrums. My two stocks, ABBV, again, this is that trade war zone right in here that I've been referencing. That pullback right back into, and then bounce out of, that is the setup that I'd been looking for. So I grabbed some calls on this one. And again, you can kind of pull this back. This is a good spot in general from any perspective that you look at. This is a good company, pays a good dividend too if you like equity. But again, this chart, look, we're coming back into this on a very large time frame. Just looks like a breakout and retest here. So this is pretty bullish to me on any time frame. I think the shorter time frames was like, oh, okay, this is a good opportunity to kind of snipe it. We'll see if it gets going. I'm not really into understanding like these companies' pipelines. I know it is super important. So maybe there's something I don't know there. J&J, very similar. This guy, tariff, turmoil zone. It was just breaching kind of like that lower end of the box. Gave me that setup. Longer term, again, not super exciting, but another one where like if this is coming out of this downtrend, look at this consolidation here. This at 147, I was like, usually is a pretty big buy or pretty decent buy, at least for the near term. This is a bit of a setup for a potential broadening formation. Broadening is like higher highs and lower lows. So that is what we have on a weekly perspective here. So high, higher high, actually, low, lower low, lower low. This last one, and this is what we call price discovery. This last one kind of breached it, but didn't even tag it. And we're coming up through the center line, which this is a weekly chart. So this is much longer term. I think there's a shot that, even this thing can kind of get out of the dumps, but that's a longer term view. Just so you know, it's a weekly chart. But it is on its way. So 148 was that spot that I grabbed it. We do have earnings later on in July, but you can just see on this chart here, this was that massive supply. So I thought it was worth the shot. Same thing with Lilly. I think everybody knows Lilly. 720 was kind of like that entry area right in here. Just barely sniped her. Right on the nose. Boom, 720. So that was worth the shot. This is not an options trade. This is all equity here. But to me, worth the shot. Small shot. There's a big volume shelf in here that if it fails, look, I know that we're looking more sub 600, but I don't own any here, so I figured I might as well take a little starter. All right, so that's all of XLV. We'll finish off the healthcare with UNH, and then we'll look at HT because they do have earnings. So I'll say that. So UNH, man, this thing, this is crazy. And I know so many people are looking at this chart. I mean, talk about a fall from grace, no question. This is just intense. This is a monthly scale. That's just crazy, absolutely insane. But why 250? You can probably see it now. But if you didn't have this monthly scale on, you wouldn't have necessarily known. To be honest, the zone was anywhere from 280 down to 250. And I think we talked about this. Actually, we did go over this chart in Amit's stream. Can someone drop Amit's YouTube channel, by the way? So we will be live there tomorrow, as far as I understand, unless something happens in the calendar, where this was the spot, right? The question was, does UNH look interesting here? It does. And here we are actually holding over that 290 level. That was pretty crucial. But look at this. That's crazy. Not to say that there aren't real concerns here. This is just from a technical perspective. Where would it bounce? There are still very, very real concerns. I mean, there's a murder in the executive suite. That's crazy. And the CEO, the new CEO, Lee, or the current CEO left. They bring out the old CEO, which is, the CEO that did all this. He comes out of retirement, and then you get a Wall Street Journal article saying that UNH is under investigation for criminal Medicare fraud. That's a story, right? Why? Why is this happening? And then UNH comes out and kind of like refutes the story, saying, "Oh no, they basically said we have not received any such notification." And truth be told, they're not going to receive, they're not going to tell you that we're investigating you for fraud, for criminal fraud. We'll tell you when we've gathered all our evidence. But UNH's kind of like rebuttal was, "Hey, we haven't received any notice." So here we are. From the lows, that's a lot of a pop. But I would say that this does not warrant a V-shaped recovery. Neither did any of what we've got in the market. So there's that. It can happen. Medical billing is crazy. I had some family members that ran a business doing that, and it's like the complexities in the medical billing codes, dude. They basically hire data scientists as cashiers in that industry because one little mix up on the code and it's a wrap and people don't get paid back. So that said, here you are, a big rally off the lows. This is really just kind of taking back the very last headline. So near term, I think this could breathe, but if it's breaking through 326s, I think you need to give this one some time. Like if you're here knowing that a new CEO could be very likely pulling some crazy skeletons out of closets that nobody really knew existed. I think that's the concern. But also, if you're going to have faith in anyone to turn it around or to clean it up, it might be this new CEO guy. But that said, you got to give this some time. In the meantime, if you do get those pullbacks to 290, 285s in this area, that's going to be a better kind of opportunity to watch for. So this is on its way, but one where I think a real turnaround would be in the flavor of years on something like this. So HT, this guy, consolidated for a while off the lows. I can't tell you guys how many times I took this shot thinking it was going to go, and it finally goes, and I wasn't in it. So oh, well, I think it was like these I was taking, and then it gaps up over the weekend and just boom with the rest of the market. At this point, you are coming into some overhead resistance. This is kind of like this box over here. Draw it across right in there. 390s is the tip of that resistance area, and you can kind of see it here. So this is going to show you a little bit better, but this is the box. It's up to 390. And I think that's technically where it would show up. This, if you're worried about this head and shoulders that was showing up last year, that's fine. You don't need to worry about that because that pattern is completed. And it did play out, which got you that 300 and change kind of like downside target. And you're kind of retesting what we'd say is the neckline of that. So break and hold through 393 is a big deal on Home Depot. I think this has a lot to do with like home builders and rates and things like that. So if this comes out of the muck, that would be back in business, baby, is what that would be. I mean, overall, not a bad chart net. I think this guy as a whole, if it gets back to the weekly trend that it was kind of traversing before, that's going to be right. That's going to line up right into those 393s here. What you don't really want to see is you don't want to see a failure like this. That would not be good. You would rather see a break, pullback, and then reclaim into this area, and then you're definitively going to see new all-time highs. You'd see something a little bit like that, and you would be off to the races. And that's what a bullish kind of setup would look like. Oops. All right. Devin grab. I don't know. I mean, it's still $5, I believe. This one, didn't get a debt downgrade. That's true. So you don't have that concern. $5. It's kind of like inside. We call this weekly candle an inside week. So really you have to wait for a trade. Either you're over 5.25 or you're below 495. Until then, that is the range that you're trading in. And there's nothing to do here except for wait. But holding that 495, that's going to be pretty bullish in general. NET, Cloudflare. Weekly, this is software. People like Cloudflare. This is a super high beta stock. Nearly back to the highs, 165. Not these highs, probably crazy, but I mean, this is a weekly chart that, like, when you look at it this way, you're like, oh, this is a pretty nutty setup. And that tag at 88. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. You've doubled since that mark, literally. This looks like 165. And then you see, but at 165, you got to be a little bit cautious because this could do some more consolidating. If it goes to 165 and you put a lower high in, you could come back as low as 116 to mark a higher low before this really breaks out. What I will do is I'll take this top, and that top. This is going to give me about that 165 again. It's 175. You'd need to see something like that for a major break, but that's what that would be. Some of these I can't do. You guys are going small cap on me, man. Holy moly. I did say we'll take a look at Coinbase. Can't do a lot of small caps, guys. So S&P inclusion is, I mean, if it's happened, I don't know that it's the most bullish thing. I'm more interested in Hoodie's S&P inclusion, to be selfish. But, that's not happening right now. I think this area that we're on with Coinbase is interesting. I don't know that it breaks through. If this is all it gets, that might be all it gets. We'll have to see what the flows look like. But this is a big area. This is kind of like wait and see. 280s. Looks like about 280s. What I'm going to do. very specific breakdown area here. Looks like 255. Are we over that? We are over 255. So 255 looks crucial. And then we come into what I think was those 290s. So you're seeing like this, all of this stuff, right? Prior support turned into resistance, broke her down through this support. 255 is that kind of broader range support. So if it holds 255, that looks okay. I'm just not seeing the Momo required to get into the 290s yet, but that's what it would be, just over 290 and just below 300. But that's that next level on Coinbase. Below that, you do kind of need to be a little worried, but there's some kind of hope at like 240 area that should hold. That's the bottom of this box right here. But if you see 240 on Coinbase, I don't know that it would be really intriguing to buy, because that would just be like, oh, this is going to be very choppy. Below that 240, then yeah, you're going to feel this move back down. But Bitcoin, you can't downgrade Bitcoin's debt. So there's that going for it for sure. We did not do hymns, Matthias, but I will do it for you. Jeez, Louise, this thing looks good still. I can't believe this thing is holding. This is one where like, okay, there are some stocks where probably a debt downgrade is not going to affect them. And this is one of those, right? This is a big level, 61. I mean, if this holds, that's pretty bullish. This is more of a spot where I would probably straddle. Like this could go either way in a big way. And even a pullback, looks like you hit that 50 and change. Jeez, we hit that 50 and change just so fast. Even if this pulled back, which would be a heavy pullback, that still looks good for right now. But holding $60 is pretty constructive, I will have to admit, on HIMS for sure. Do SMCI, and then I'll scroll back down to the bottom of the chat and see where we are. Yeah, so SMCI, I think NVIDIA as a whole is just going to hold up the market right now, in general, right? Like if we have, what are we talking about? Doing like nation level, what's the word I'm looking for? AI, like doing AI for Taiwan as a nation. I mean, that's big stuff, right? And that's going to hit SMCI. It's probably going to hit your DELL. There we are, looking bullish. Appreciate it, Nick. I think earnings coming next week. I'll tell you, I'll have a thumbnail, and it's going to be NVIDIA to the rescue, because the market is just going to be looking forward to NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, even if you get a little bit of a pullback, it's probably fine. Like I would not be worried if this pulls back in terms of earnings, right? It's made a big move into a difficult level. 123 we know is that 3 trillion mark. It's made a big move into a pretty difficult level. If this is the series of lower highs, you do need to be concerned that 135 is possibly yet another lower high. But at the same time, it's like these. When I say these, I mean it was essentially these. That whole channel has definitively been broken. So even if it pulls back here and you get something like a 123 or even 115s, like I'm not really worried about it. This is what that would look like. We have come a really long ways. Do I need to trim this? No, I think it's got catalysts still on deck. I think that the market wants to see it out and see what they have to say. And then, TBD from there. But this is looking, I mean, it's out of the downtrend. This this weekly setup is what you'd have to worry about in terms of here's your weekly, right? Like you guys can see this. Here's what I'll say about this. This is a very bearish pattern. You guys know me. I hate patterns, right? This is a very, very bearish pattern. But when the most bearish patterns fail, what happens? It's extremely bullish. And that in a nutshell is why I don't trade patterns. You have to know about them. But if this were to fail, I mean, let's be real. The neckline isn't until $90. Like, this is not, that's crazy. And monthly, it just starts to look like a big bull flag, right? And so, like, okay, if this is your weekly head and shoulders, let's say weekly time scale head and shoulders, but on a monthly time frame, it's just a giant bull flag. I mean, there's your invalidation, right? Like, there it is in all its glory. And so that said, I mean, yeah, you do need to be a little bit concerned the higher that you go. But overall, I think this more of a fundamental story plays out here as like the most profitable company in the market for a while, in like immediate profit. So yeah, this is holding up. This is not breaking down. I would not be worried so much about this weekly, potential setup that could be easily superseded by a monthly bull flag, like very easily. So we'll see. As long as holding these levels, this is pretty bullish to me. Head and shoulders aside. I'm not doing minors. Sorry about that, guys. Today I miss Reddit. Federated AI. Oh, yeah, there you go. It was Sovereign AI, Savage. That's what I was thinking. Sovereign AI. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at SOFI. SOFI. Close but not quite. Close but not quite. Hit that 14. Really want to see that hold. This could be a little dipper. If I zoom in a little bit more. Ooh. Actually holding the level as we speak. Very interesting, friends. Very interesting. Not breaking down. Yes, banging its head on that 14 and change resistance, which you know exists. Let's say you get another shot and fail, which is fine. You get another deeper pullback. A fourth attempt, we know, usually goes. Not bad. Not a bad look on SOFI. I know it's on SOFI. Not a bad look at all. See, this is like perfect example. I'm going to use the SOFI chart right now as an example of what's been going on in this market and why I'm like, what the hell, bears? If you're out there, what the hell? This setup right here, right now, I mean, the bears have every opportunity to like absolutely flush this thing. Flush means go down. The bears have every opportunity from a technical perspective to start breaking this down and selling this lower into the 12s easily. But yet they fail to do their job yet again. In fact, actually, this fills, SOFI fills yesterday's or last week's, nearly fills last week's session gap at 1320, kind of providing that pullback we were looking for the rest of the market near term. So, also true, fintech tends to bottom out earliest, but this could be a springboard moment from a technical perspective for SOFI. It's a little early, but if the bears, again, if this is yet another failure to do their part on the bears, from the bears perspective, this is just going to end up being another little technical flag, which kind of push that trajectory, maybe that 15 and change, maybe 16s, especially if you get a rate change, which I don't know that we will, but what's true is that the bears are failing to push this lower, and from a technical perspective, they have every like everything on their side to do so. I did see some Rocket Lab, so we'll be interested. Also, same thing. Yeah. No, the bears are this is wow, this is back. This is back over critical level. So this morning's pullback on Rocket Lab, look at that. Picture perfect 24 breakout retest of this area. That looks good. Does it have to go here and now? No, but that looks very good. It could go sideways, but any consolidation over this 2380, constructive, very constructive for sure. And your trajectory is to that 27 and near 28s. Also not bad. All right, guys. I think analyzer, only because I know analyzer. So Microsoft, yeah, no, this one bullish. I'm just like, this is going. I mean, this is like, hello, all-time highs coming. Market does not care here today. I will still say internals, not supporting it, but crazy. Is VIX green? Is the VIX green? No. Oh, it is. I mean, it's coming down. So, okay, so this, when I'm asking, is the VIX green? It's kind of like that market internals things. When you see equities and volatility up at the same time, you know, that's a flash. It's a flashing yellow light. I have a flashing yellow light. If I didn't have those internal signals, I'm just looking at this. I'm like, oh, we're going to all-time highs. VIX green, equities green, internals, you know, check engine light is on, but yet I have no issues to report on my vehicles. So that is where we are. It's very wild, very, very wild. Reddit. Nice pullback. Yeah. This is the spot. So Reddit is right into that support area. Again, this one is not able to get out of its own way. This is back into that tariff zone right here. We had a snipe the other day. Boom. I might give this a little bit. I want to see what the market does tomorrow. I think we will tell a lot. This is definitively an area of interest on Reddit. Like we saw a lot of these 115 go out for January, probably still valid here. Holding this area even as close to 100 as you can. Like that's looking decent, but the business aspect as a whole is in question in terms of like, is search like that? Like they need to make money based on advertising through people searching their forums. If everybody's going to ChatGPT, like what are you really using? Are you really using Reddit still, or have you moved on? And I think that's what's in question. Said we did Tesla already, so you have to pull back. We'll get some timestamps out there for you earlier. Dell, we kind of briefly looked at this again, looking good. All I will say is that VIX green, equities green, internals not supporting the price action, but this is like we're driving down the road. My check engine light has turned on, but I have no issues to report. ADD, generally bullish, but low, right? Low bullish. It's in this looks like 3 or 600s. So I'm getting a little lag on my TOS. It's struggling on me. But I think that's where we are. I would much rather kind of like chill and wait to see what happens. If we just continue on, well, okay, that's fine. Oh no, ADD is negative. Here, I'll pull this up. So I will do an internals view really quick, just so you guys see what I'm talking about. Vol QD, which is NASDAQ inflows, is somewhat bullish. My TOS is like, we got that memory glitch going on in Thinkorswim. It's just no good. It takes forever. Oh, what just happened? Did it go to a different screen? It did. When it goes over there, it goes behind me. Yeah, the TV is an actual screen. All right, so NASDAQ flows actually look okay. So mega cap looks okay. I'm just going to put the tick up here. See this lag? I hate this lag. This is a memory leak in Thinkorswim. Trust me, I have like 120 something gigs of memory on the stupid computer. It's crazy. All right, so I'm just going to move this to, let's go 5-day, 5-minute. So this is market internals. This is not, it's literally how slow this is being. It's not the computer. I promise you. Okay. Why did this not stay on tick? TICK. Oh, forgot who kept bothering me about get a mechanical keyboard. I got a couple. I finally found one I liked. All right, so cumulative tick today. This is like pretty weak. Looks like upside max 500 tick. It's actually, this is okay. So the tick so far, generally positive right now. It's this stuff. So advancers, decliners open up super negative, slowly clawing themselves back, but overall net negative. This guy right here, this is volume inflows versus volume outflows. You know, when you look at today, it's just negative. Even though price action starts out negative, slowly clawing its way back. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is like glitching around. It's still negative. So this is what I mean. Like internals not exactly matching this. So when I say cumulative tick, it's like the tick starts out negative 1700. That's pretty bearish, and then pops up, spends most of the day over the zero line. It's not till literally right now that I'm seeing, okay, maybe it's starting to kind of fade, but overall it's holding up there. If we start to see these ticks begin to really start slapping closer to like negative 1,000, things like that, and generally below the zero line, that's when I say, okay, we're probably going to fade a little bit. And again, this advanced decline line, again, opening pretty low, obviously, because we did gap down, pulling up, but still not able to get out of the weeds. And this guy, it's this net flows that's really like the one that's like, okay, here's your check engine light. This is the kind of stuff that we see usually near topping areas in the market, is where price action does not match the internals. The internals, just that check engine light on. Is it possible that we continue higher? Yeah, you betcha. But it is a spot that we want to be a little bit more concerned about. We do. Generally speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4 days last week of net inflows. Today is pretty neutral. And this is that tick kind of rolling over. This is SPX right here, not able to breach that as we speak. So that's what I'm talking about. It all looks good. I'm going to go home today with a little bit less on in terms of like, near term, medium, like 50-day options, much less. Does it look, and I'm going to be a little hedged. This is true. My poor Oxy, dude. I don't know what to think about Oxy. I think it's still okay. I'm going to stick with it. GDX and the like are probably not a bad hedge. I don't think that the semis are really going to be a big deal because of NVIDIA. Someone asked for gold, and this will be the last one that I look at. Again, popping up, holding its own demand zone. So gold, again, not breaking down back into this area here. It's a flippening. Like if it goes any higher, any higher, that's back in, right? And we're back to the races, to the upside on gold. So I actually like gold here as a hedge. I like a lot of those, what I'll say is the safety trades in terms of maybe, maybe some healthcare stuff that looks to be somewhat de-risked. Crypto is not going to be in at risk of being downgraded. Their debt is not going to be downgraded. For the Discord, I'll tell you what, Edward, all of the Mastermind students, they get the Discord at like half off. So, I mean, very much about like training. But again, if you're into this, hit me up. This is going to be the last like full-blown live session. And again, it's a big deal, right? Like that, the training that you get from this, dude, absolutely insane. Will literally feed you for life, for life. And again, this is that schedule. All right. So we do kick off this Friday, the 23rd, and it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 days a week. Every session starts about 30 minutes after the close. Listen, life shows up. You're not going to make every session. Don't worry about it. All the sessions are recorded. You get access to a like educational portal for us, from us, where you can watch. Honestly, the best students we have, they are just like, they'll constantly watch these their trainings over and over and over until they absorb absolutely everything they can. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys if you do show up for that one. That would be huge. And there's the link again. Heather, there you go. Best course I have ever taken. Actually, if we have any OG students in the house, can you just drop it into the chat and let them know what your thoughts are? Nope. If you didn't like it, say so, right? But let them know. If you did, tell them. No paid promotion, right? Yeah, if you're interested, yeah, go ahead and shoot me a DM on Twitter, X, sorry, or anywhere else. He's in. I love it. But yeah, Savage, it maybe like a goatee. I don't know. It would have to be a Fu Manchu. Let's be real, is what it would have to be. But yeah, there you go. Appreciate it, Heather. Oh, Ava's in the house. Michael, no, it doesn't start tonight. So it's starting Friday. We had to push some stuff out. We usually keep the class small, right? It's gonna stay small. It's no bigger than a college class, or probably more than a regular class. But we will open up in groups. The problem is that we didn't promote it at all. So it was like, okay, we sent a couple out there, but it would have been unfair because this is the last one that we're really going to do like full production live. To maybe we should take a little bit and let people know that we're actually going to have it instead of not post about it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. I will be live on X Spaces. I'll try and show up for a mid stream tomorrow if he will have me, for Technical Tuesday. In the meantime, if you are interested in the classes, just shoot me a DM. We'll take care of you guys and love to see you in there. All right. Adios. Till next time, fam. I'm out.